Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome to Weenie Trades. You just found yourself at the weekly game plan. And so this is being filmed during market hours, as I won't be able to film later tonight. So the market's going to be moving. Probably actually going to turn off tick strike right over here. We're going to just do this in one take, as we usually do. Sometimes I edit it, sometimes I don't. I'm going to be going over SPY, QQQ, IWM VIX, some community requests, and then giving some updates. So let's get right into the video. First up we've got is SPY over here, and SPY, boy, what a nasty downtrend. This is kind of a little bit of a reversal type of pattern if we're looking at the intraday time frame. Again, SPY being down 1.15%, not a good day for the market. But if we take a look at this, nice good little breakout over here, and what happens when it fails to hold that breakout level? Boom, it snaps down, turns it into resistance, boom, breaks on down. So the SPY is getting pretty oversold short term because it's pressing the edge of the expected move for at least Monday. So if we look at the daily time frame, we broke down. We broke on down. Nasty, nasty breakdown underneath 415 and just couldn't get a rally going. I was eyeing up a juicy short on the SPY at 436. It didn't really come. So over here, SPY, short term, we actually could potentially get a bounce. And if the S&P is bouncing, look for resistance right at that 415 level, which we're noting intraday. Intraday are saying, hey, SPY 415. If that cannot turn into support, it's likely going to be some nasty, nasty resistance. So if we can get above and hold above 415, that's the level that needs to be broken for the SPY to get a good rally going. Other than that, though, SPY, yeah, if we take a look at the options chain expected move over here, options chain expected move into Friday, and we do have FOMC later this week, but into Friday, a $15 expected move. So decently wide, not terribly wide though. As you can see, all the implied volatility really getting baked in on that Wednesday move. So SPY could be potentially bullish short term. It's difficult to say. It depends on how we close the day. If we close the day right at the lows, it's difficult to say whether we're going to gap up or gap down because we're closing kind of near an area of support. Longer term though, SPY, you know, there's a critical support level at 395. If it's visiting that short term, there's likely to be a bounce right there. So mark your calendar, SPY short term 395. That's if we're selling off without any sort of rally or any sort of bounce. If we do get that bounce, well, then you'd want to let it get as extended as possible. As it starts to roll on over, then you could go ahead and short the SPY based off this chart formation. SPY could be a massive head and shoulders in the making, and that neckline could be that 395 level. And if that were to break and turn into resistance, SPY could be seeing something like the 360 down to the 340 zone. So could be bullish short term. Difficult to say. I'm holding a lot of cash. I'll go over what I'm in just a little bit. So next up we got is the Qs, QQQ ETF. Breaking those lows. It was actually relatively strong in the morning, but now it's just kind of whipping and flipping all around. Qs though, if we look at the daily time frame, yeah, it may get some short-term relative strength, but over the medium to longer term, not doing so hot. $13.70 expected move. That's a similar analysis to the S&P. IWM is extremely bearish. We talked about this bear flag. Members got alerted about this big bear flag right over here, and that is playing out to the downside. And if I duplicate this, the IWM is telling me that it still could have a little bit more downside to go. So if we zoom in on the IWM over here, on the IWM weekly, we could be revisiting something like 165. That would be a stretch target to the downside based off this drop, bear flag, and now we're in the midst of a weekly drop. So IWM, even if it gets a bounce short term, I would just look to short it. And anything in front of 200 is a great idea to short, at least for me. None of this is financial advice. I can't believe that is not up here. Well, now none of it is financial advice. And it never was, will be, or anything of the sort. So IWM, bearish. Even if it gets a kickback rally up to the 198 short term, I'd love to reload some more put spreads. So IWM, you know, stocks like GameStop are on the IWM. Look at this. GameStop getting absolutely murdered today. Took a short trade actually on GameStop at about the 122 level. However, during that moment, I was looking at the S&P and was like, well, the S&P is probably going to rally, and it did actually rally. It made a new high on the day. However, that new high failed, and this GameStop put option absolutely ballooned. I'm getting in this at about $520, and look at that. Boom, 94% on that GameStop put option. And the reason I was shorting GameStop was not only was it a bear setup, it was a little bear flag right there, but it was relatively weak. So GameStop was likely to continue to sell off even if the SPY were to rally, and that was the case. So in hindsight, maybe don't jump out just because SPY is about to break and make a new high of the day. The thing is, though, I can't predict that it's going to then fail that new high of the day. So interesting notes for the trade log. Comment below what you think you would have done on the GameStop short. If you could see the market starting to rebound, do you take just the quick profits, or do you just hold through the pullback and go with the original plan? Let me know in the comments below. So IWM, not strong stocks inside the IWM. VIX, volatility and fear index. This will be critical on how we close the day on VIX. If we close the day on VIX at above 35.73, then market could see a little bit more downside. However, if the VIX does not hold this kind of breakout area right here and starts to snap back in, that could potentially hint towards a short-term SPY rally. So volatility and fear, we talked about the breakout on Friday over that 31.69. As you can see, the VIX is slowly creeping and breaking out. And if there's anybody that's short the VIX or buying VIX puts, they could end up getting squeezed, and we could see an expansion of volatility. Longer term, this would be potentially a good area to go short on the SPY. If the VIX were to potentially pull back, it may not line up directly, but I'm going to set an alert at that breakout area of 31.69 on volatility and fear. And of course, things can get really nasty if the VIX really starts to break out. That would potentially increase the sell side pressure that the market is seeing. And look at that, market getting a nice good rebound. So those are kind of that's the overall ETF analysis. Briefly, I wanted to just let you know I went long on Target. Went along on Target about 225.60. So we'll see if Target can get a good bounce. It's been on a downtrend, but if we look at the daily time frame, we are oversold into a net of support. So if I do zoom in on Target over here, oversold into a net of support, it will get killed if SPY ends up getting clapped. But either way, selling put credit spreads next week against the 222.50 level. So if you happen to see this video before market close, you could potentially take that trade if it fits your risk parameters, selling the 222.50 puts expiring next week. And hopefully, if we get any sort of rally, or even if we go sideways, I get to profit. Even if Target does break down past the 222.50, it can still snap back up and I can still profit. What would be the worst case scenario when you're selling 22.50 puts, 222.50, is if it sells off and then stays selling off. So that is a potential scenario, and I can always manage my risk on the way. So be careful on going long on Target as kind of a hedge, and just keep mindful if GME pops, it potentially could be a decent short. Time will tell. And just looking at the watch list, there's not a lot of great setups. DWAC was alerted to members to short at 60. Well, it hit it in the pre-market, but today I was saying at Weenie Trades Live, hey, you can probably short DWAC right here at about 50.40 once we start to break down that bear flag. And so if DWAC is pumping, I would love to see if I could get another reload short on something like DWAC. So those are kind of my trade setups moving forward. Comment below what you're in or what you're watching. Now let's get into some community breakdown. Let's go into IEX. IEX, if we look at the weekly time frame, this is a rollover formation, and we made a nice steady uptrend. First of all, once we break that uptrend right over there, we drop, and now it's an H formation. This could potentially break down. And where does it break down to? Well, this is actually where I like to do Fibonacci retracements. Let's go from low to high right over here. We're holding the golden fib. Actually, that's bullish in and of itself, but if that golden fib breaks, we're headed to the next support. And, it's difficult to see because we have this white background over here. Let's go to appearance. Let's make this a nice, let's make it brown for fun. Brown for the poopy market. Right over here, we've got a drop. And then this is an H pattern that could see a drop all the way down to 172. So weekly bear flag, drop, bear flag. If it really extends towards the length of the flagpole, we could see as low as 156.40 on IEX. So you could short it. The option chain is a little bit spready, very spready, not just a little bit. I would not trade options on this, only if you can short the equity on IEX. Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't buy it. I'd stay away from it. So that's IEX. Let's check out CVX. CVX on the weekly time frame holding up pretty well comparative to the market. Energy is still one of the stronger sectors. However, this is a bear flag. So which is going to win, the sector strength or the bear flag? It could be a bear flag at a potential higher low. So right over here, what I mean is this whole area could be at a higher low compared to, let's call it, this low. This is the low. This could be a higher low to launch it to a higher high. I don't know exactly if we'll see a higher high on CVX, but if the pattern, the bear flag pattern plays out, this could be a drop, bear flag drop, and the former breakout area of $140 a share on CVX could be tested. So CVX kind of just neutral this week. Neutral, sideways to slightly higher short term. Medium term, yeah, I think it's more likely to see something like 140 than it is to see something like 180, 190, 200. Time will tell, though. The options chain expected move is $6 for the week. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect it much higher than like 164. Wouldn't expect it much lower than 152.30. And that makes sense, 152.30. So even if it breaks down, it's likely to hold those lows. So that's CVX. I briefly want to check the XLE, the energy sector. Notice how it pretty much correlates with the XLE. So keep an eye on the XLE if you're trading CVX. Otherwise, I gave my intermediate thoughts on that. Let's check out BRK/B, Berkshire. Didn't they want to buy ATV? Well, here we go, Berkshire. Oh my goodness. It's like we can almost foresee the future. All these lines are just chilling over here. Drop, bear flag. Look at this, descending triangle, beautiful drop. And we actually have a down arrow right here. This down arrow extends all the way down to about 308 on Berkshire. So one or two more down days on Berkshire, and that could actually potentially be a dip buy. And looking at more and more charts, it looks like the SPY might sell off just a little bit more, depending on how it does on this rally. But either way, a really nice move. I just want to see how everything is doing today. Just about to barely go green on the day. Here's the target call that I was talking about from the low of the day. I want to see if I potentially should take some profits on that, or at least Ghetto spread it. Say, here you go. You get some live trading within the video. But I like to create Ghetto spreads instead of just selling this call outright. That uses a day trade. I can pretty much just sell the 230 and be like, hey, I'm cool with selling 100 shares of Target at 230. So maybe I'll try and throw in an order right there. I'll try and throw in an order at 3. Maybe the SPY can extend just a wee bit more. Other than that, make sure you have your order quantity set up. So right over here, sell this one. And let's just go 2.9. 2.9. Yeah. Right there. That should get a fill at some point if the market pushes up just a wee bit more. So I'll just let that order sit. And if we extend just a little bit more, Target should give me the fill. But either way, if we do rally short term and this is the rally, look for Berkshire/B to push up just a little bit more, probably up to about the 320 level. There's a lot of resistance coming on up. So just as like the rest of the market. So BRK/B, interesting choice. It's been on a tear for quite a while. Can that tear hold on? There's support at 295.54. And it depends on how the SPY decides to close the day. Lastly, let's check out CYBR. CYBR over here. And CYBR on the weekly actually looks decently strong. Push up, pull back, lower high, lower low. Chop, 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 chop. I'm going to extend this to the right. And it looks like as long as that trend line holds, it actually could rally on CYBR up to about the 169. That's on the weekly. Otherwise, if we get a weekly close underneath 153, look for doom and look for a bit of downside. So that's CYBR on the weekly. If we go to the daily real quick, just really a whole lot of nothing. A lot of chop chop. I wouldn't really trade this. I wouldn't really invest in it either. Don't know much about the company though, so that's probably why. If we check the options chain, looks like we got the monthlies on these, so the liquidity is not going to be as great. Although it's not horrible for a lot of monthlies. Could be better, could be worse. Either way, $21 expected move for the next 18 days on CYBR. Again, though, if the market gets clapped, everything's going to kind of go down with it. Look at that. We get a nice good end of the day pump. Looks like I might have nailed the low of the day. Pretty cool. Anyways, that's all I have for this week's game plan. Be sure to join us on Wednesday. On Wednesday, you're not going to want to miss it. Come join us live. Romulus is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about his ACTA trading system. It is absolutely amazing. It is super cool to see Romulus's ACTA trading system in real time. It's super cool. It's profitable. We're going to talk about it on Wednesday. Bring your questions. We'll be doing market analysis, having fun, whatever it may be. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for tuning in. Parker says goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, looks like target filled.